Vinod Agrawal joins us, Managing Director and CEO who represents the Volvo Eicher CV business. Happy New Year, sir. How are things?
Thank you so much, and same to you. Things are looking great.
Will it be a better year for you than 2024?
Yeah, yes, till now we are better, even though not very high growth numbers, but we are doing better than the last year.
If the economy is slowing down, which it has become 6.5, and now the Nomura consensus or the mean consensus is that we would be below 7% for 2025 also, then why should a CV business, which is a proxy to economy, do
well? First of all, consistent growth of 7 to 8%, or previous years it was 8%, now 7% or 6.5%. That's a good growth rate if you look at the real growth rates without inflation. And if this is the growth rate in the economy, CB sector should do better than the GDP growth. That is what if you look at the past trends, CB sector should do better than the GDP growth. So therefore, I think near to double digit, that is what logically CB sector should do. If the GDP is around, say, 6.5%, CV should be around 8 to 10%. So that is the logical conclusion out of the GDP growth rates. Now, of course, there are short-term ups and downs, but over a period of time, that's how it should be.
Agrawal, if we were to just, sort of put a lens on how the near term is going to pan out, which segment do you think is going to perform better for you? Is it going to be buses, CV, or do you think it'll be a mix of both?
It will be a mix of both. As far as Q4 is concerned, buses are going to be very strong. Buses have been even strong even in the first 9 months also, because the growth rates in the buses have led the overall movement in the CV industry. For example, first 9 months also in the industry also, if you look at the industry, the bus segment has grown by 18%, whereas there has been some drop in the heavy duty trucks or light and medium duty trucks, but buses have grown. Last quarter also the buses will grow even faster, because Q4 is a season month for buses, both from the point of view of schools as well as from the point of view of state transport undertakings. So therefore, I think buses, of course, will be better. But of course, the construction segment, the construction trucks, those are also expected to do better in Q4, because we are seeing a lot more traction in the infrastructure projects in Q4. So therefore, we are expecting good growth in tippers, construction trucks, and consequent to the growth in tippers, there will be good growth in the haulage, because cement and steel also should do better in Q4. So therefore, Q4, we are expecting all-round good performance for the CV industry.
Performance in Q4, but could you help us understand how's been the response to the PME Drive scheme? Because one of the concerns have been that the potential link with the scrappage policy might affect participation. What's your view on the potential impact and response?
I think the PME Drive, first of all, for the first time, the government has given the incentive on the trucks. So therefore, it's a welcome step that for e-trucks, government has considered giving the incentives. Now they have linked it to scrappage of trucks, which is again a very, very novel move, because we need scrappage of old trucks, because they are the most polluting trucks. Therefore, if someone has to avail the incentive under this scheme, he has to produce a corresponding scrappage of an old truck. Now, either he can scrap his own truck, or he can trade a certificate, scrappage certificate. Therefore, even though that may be a bit of challenge to start with, but of course, I think it will pick up, and most of these people should be able to pick up the scrappage certificates from the other people also who would scrap their old trucks. So therefore, we are expecting the guidelines to come from the Government of India, and this scheme should take off. And finally, I think we would expect more incentives for the trucks, e-trucks especially.
For e-trucks, but we were talking about how Q4 you're expecting quite a bit of growth. This first half of the year has been slower on the capex side from the government, and that of course had that trickle-down effect of slowdown in economy. Do you expect that budget might have some big bang announcements, or there's something specific that you are watching out for?
Apart from budget, I think Q4 is also a lot of pent-up capex which has to happen, because till now the capex was not that high as it used to be in the earlier years. Therefore, Q4 we are expecting a lot more activity as far as the capex is concerned. And then, of course, we are expecting that in the budget, government should continue the drive on the infrastructure investments. And I'm sure the government finances are direct tax collections, advanced tax collections. I think there is good growth that is coming in both the revenue streams for Government of India. So therefore, we are expecting that the government will continue the drive on the infrastructure projects, and which will push up the economy.
Right now we have seen a transition in the two-wheeler space, the EV transition. Four-wheeler, it has started. Globally, there are not too many parallels which are indicating that the transition from traditional ICE engine to the electric engine, at least in large trucks, is something which is possible. Also, there is this whole thought that, for trucks, hydrogen is a better fuel than EVs. Where is technology moving in the EV space? Do you think it's a good to have business but not a needle moving business?
I think we have to see it in the segments. If you look at the trucks, if you look at smaller trucks, smaller commercial vehicles, or the light and medium duty trucks, I think in those trucks it will make a lot of sense to have the electric trucks, because last mile delivery or the small commercial vehicles or the 5-ton, 7-ton, 9-ton trucks, I think there that will be very, very logical to migrate to electric trucks. As far as the long haul trucks are concerned, which is you can say the multi-axles or 40-ton, 45-ton, 50-ton, there of course it will be more preferable to go to the hydrogen based fuel, because there of course it will be acquisition cost will not be that high, because you will be able to use still the engine with the hydrogen fuel, whereas if you have to use the batteries for the bigger trucks, or do need very high capacity batteries, which also impacts the payload. Therefore, for the bigger trucks, it will make sense for the applications where you need smaller distances. For example, if you have to move the material from the port to the warehouse for around, say, 100, 200 kilometers, or if you are running your construction truck in a localized area, like the mines or such areas, there of course will again you can use the electric trucks. So those applications you will see migration to electric trucks. However, for the small commercial vehicles, for last mile delivery, it will make a lot of sense with the electric trucks. And then of course there the government policy on the giving some incentives in the beginning, I think that will make a lot of sense. Similarly, for buses, I think India is different from the other countries, because buses demand in India is very high. The number of buses required in India for public transport are quite a lot for our state transport undertakings or within the city movements. The requirement of buses is very high, and government has identified that, and they have very well covered that in the incentive schemes. And you will see more and more migration happening to electric buses in the coming years. So therefore, I think slow and steady migration in a faster manner for buses and in a slow and steady manner for trucks will be there in future.
Mr. Agarwal, also want to get a sense of how the exports are panning out right now for you, and what's the visibility on which market is going to be the strongest?
Exports, again, they have bottomed out. Now they are growing. This year also there has been some growth, even though there has been of late some issues with respect to South Asian countries like Bangladesh. But of course, I think those are temporary, and exports are recovering now. As far as the markets are concerned, I think some of the markets are growing better. For example, Middle East markets, they are becoming more and more relevant for Indian players because the technology of Indian trucks has also improved and they can compete with Japanese trucks. Whereas mostly in Middle East, till now there were more Japanese trucks or European trucks. Now, of course, the Indian buses and Indian trucks are also able to compete. Therefore, you see more exports happening to Middle East. Similarly, you see more exports to happen to Southeast Asian countries, like for example, Indonesia, where again they are largely, ruled by the Japanese trucks. Indonesia, Malaysia, or Thailand. Now there again, you will see more and more Indian trucks becoming popular because Indian trucks, technology-wise, they are nowhere inferior to Japanese technology. Therefore, you will see more traction coming from Southeast Asian countries. As far as South Asia is concerned, South Asia markets were very down, like Bangladesh and Nepal and Sri Lanka. But those markets are on the recovery path now, and you will see good growth coming from these markets because these markets were down almost 80 to 85% with respect to the earlier peak of 2018-19. So you will see more recovery coming in the South Asian markets. Then, of course, more growth in Middle East and slow and steady numbers coming from Southeast Asian countries. Then, of course, some little bit exports have also started to Latin American countries, where again it will be slow and steady improvement coming for exports from India.
That's the view coming in on the international business. Mr. Agarwal, on that note, we let you go. Really appreciate you making time and speaking with us today.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.